It started off as a routine flight, but only 2 minutes after departure, they had severe vibrations in the aircraft. The crew immediately took action and declared emergency. In this episode, I will review what happened, and perhaps the most important of all, what can we learn from this serious incident. Monday, the 7th of November 2016. A crew from Braathens Regional Aviation reported for duty at Gothenburg Landvetter Airport at 05:10 local time for a domestic flight to Stockholm Bromma Airport. They started preparing the crew room and then went out to the aircraft. When it came to the aircraft, the technician meet them up and informs the captain that they need to de-ice the aircraft. It's been severely iced. The technician has been up on the wing and checked the surfaces, which is covered with a layer of ice and snow on top of the ice. The captain and the technician walk around the aircraft with a flashlight. And it's quite noisy and it's a bit windy, cold. So the captain has some difficulties to hear the technician. But they walk around, check the aircraft, and the technician point out the areas where really have to be de-iced. So the pilots then go into the flight deck, complete their preparations, and request a type 1 de-icing. There's 2 types of de-icing. The first one is type 1, where you remove snow, ice and frost from the aircraft, and if it is any precipitation, you put on a layer like a cover on top. Today there's no precipitation, so they only requires a type 1 de-icing. And the captain also verifies what parts need to be de-iced. And the de-icing is performed by another company called Aviator, and they have a long experience with de-icing aircrafts. And de-icing is then performed with a truck, and on this truck is a huge tank with containing hot water and glycol. And on the truck there is like an elephant's navel, and in the end there's a basket where you can. So up in the basket there's a de-icer, and there's another one driving the truck. So there are 2 persons. And this morning, that is the de-icer's first de-icing of this season. Normally he drives the truck, but today he's then performed the de-icing. And he is qualified for that. He has been done the initial training, and he has also done the recurrent training, which is required in order to do the de-icing. And like, it's a time pressure. It's because all aircrafts need to be de-iced, and there is limited amount of de-icing trucks. So there is like a queue for aircrafts waiting for de-icing, and the de-icer, he feels the pressure, and he sort of thinks that I don't personally want to be the one who caused the delay. And so he's starting off the spraying, and to speed up the process he makes the beam go more firm, so it's only with a high pressure beam, just to shaping up the speeding up the procedure. And the procedure they have then is that the they should first apply the fluid and then wait a while and then look down at the wing just to inspect the wing. But in order to make this go a little bit faster, he sprays and look at the same time. But the problem is that this fluid is 80 degrees hot and it's steam coming up. So it's steam coming up and the lights on the apron is like yellow lightning, and it's similar to the color of the de-icing fluid. So it's a bit difficult to really see. So he keep on spraying, and then take a look and see, yeah, it looks fine. So finally they report to the captain that they have sprayed over 500 liters. I think it was something like 514 liters of 80 degree warm de-icing fluid with a mixture of hot water and glycol. So the pilots then do the final preparation, and when the last passenger arrives, close the door, and they now start up and taxi out to start, and the co-pilot is the one who's do the flying. So they takes off from the 03 to the northeast and climbs up and then make a right turn up towards Stockholm Bromma, and everything is starting off fine. And then when they retract the last flap and the speed start to increase, coming over 200 knots, they have these severe vibrations. And of course both pilots like, whoa, what was that? And the co-pilot then reduce the thrust again, and at the same time the captain says, my controls. So the captain takes over the flight and reduce the speed, and when the speed comes below 200, the vibrations ceases again. And now at the same time the cabin crew is calling in to the flight deck and just wondering what's going on, and perhaps normally you have to wait for that, but the co-pilot takes that call and just said, yeah, we have vibrations, so we just check it and call you back. And then the co-pilot gives a mayday call, and the mayday call to the air traffic control has two purposes. The first one is, of course, alerting the fire and rescue on ground that we might need their help. And the second thing is to make ATC aware of that you have a mayday aircraft, meaning cleaning up the airspace, moving all other aircraft, so this one has priority. And now it changed. Now it's the captain who tells and informs ATC what they will do. So the captain now, he just want to verify why it have vibrations, so he increased the power again, so the speed comes above 200, and the vibrations come back immediately. So he reduced the speed again, they go below 200, and now both pilots sort of communicate what's going on. And the first thing is, do we have ice on the aircraft? No, we can't. I mean, we have done de-icing. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we've done the de-icing. Okay, so it's not de-icing. Could it be a hatch open? Could it be a door open? Is something open? No, you should have vibrations earlier. Yeah, that's right. So what is it? Well, then there is something called the pitch oscillations that could happen on this aircraft, on the BAE 146 RJs. And they trained this in the simulator. And they have trained in the simulator. And both pilots says, yeah, it could be, but they don't recognize this. It's a different kind of vibrations. But in the other hand, what could it be? So yeah, perhaps they believe it is the pitch oscillations. So anyway, the captain reduced the speed, so keep it low, and since they took off with flaps, everything was fine. They configure the flaps again. So they configure for landing. They going in land runway 21, the opposite runway. It's a crosswind, so that's fine. And then the approach and landing goes well, no vibrations, nothing happens. They go into the apron, come to a complete stop, shut down the engines, and the technician comes out again to the aircraft. Brings a ladder, go up on the wing, and now he finds the problem direct. It's covered with ice, thick ice on the wing in front of the ailerons, in front of the flaps, on the tail, and on the elevator. It's a mess, and it's very important that the wing is clean. You know, they have the shape of the wing, and on top of the wing you cannot even have dust, and you can absolutely not have frost, and now you have big chunks of ice. This is definitely no good. So then the captain finds a couple of reports, talk to the passengers and complete everything, and then the entire crew is taken off duty. They have a timeout and talk about this incident. And then later on, of course, they go to the flight department, talk to the chief pilot, talk to the HR department, and sort of the company then gives information, helps to the crew. So what happens next is then the report goes into the aviation authorities and to the crash investigation department, and they decide to open up a case on this one, and they do, which is good, because then you sort of can figure out what happens. In the meantime, as the crash investigation do their report, Braathens Aviation and the aviator, both companies do internal reports, and they immediately take action in this case. So when the report then finally comes out from the crash investigation, which is the one I'm basing this review on, and I have also talked to the captain, I talked to the technical department, and I talked to another pilot in the operation. So the conclusional report is that there was not enough procedures to check after the icing was completed, and they didn't have proper procedures to handle the de-ice, and most of all the after check, the after control. And my conclusion on this one is that we have a long experience of winter. I mean, we have in Scandinavia, we have had winters, and as long as we've been flying, we had to do de-icing. Either we can stop flying at the winter time, or we find a method to remove the snow, ice and frost. And we have a long experience. Even though we have a long experience with de-icing, there have been several accidents and incidents throughout the years, and one of the worst accidents is the SAS crash when they landed on a field 4 minutes after departing Stockholm Arlanda. It was an MD-80 in the who took off, and both engines failed after a while, and that accident was similar to this one because they sprayed over 800 liters with glycol and hot water, and in this case they sprayed over 500 liters, but it wasn't enough. So the icing is serious. It's also a communication issue, because both operations, both Braathens and Aviator, of course they have procedures, they have a manual, and they train in the crew, but it's sort of, you really have to communicate. And in this case, when the aircraft been parked outside for more than 40 hours in this severe weather, because this is a severe weather, there must be a high, there must be like, whoa, this is very important. And then there must be a procedure. So Braathens, of course, Braathens own the aircraft and Braathens own the operation. They have to then inform Aviator, okay, today we had the park been parked outside for 40 hours. So aviator said, okay, then we do this procedure instead of the normal procedure. And of course, the easiest way to figure out if there is any ice is that someone bring a ladder, go up on the upper surfaces, on the T-tail, on the wings, put your hands on, scratch with your nails to see is there any remaining ice on the aircraft. And of course, this procedure was in place already when this happened, but for some reason it was not communicated to aviator that the aircraft been parked outside for a long time. So perhaps they thought it was just overnight stop, which is sort of sprayed off the aircraft, because the de-icer is 2.5 meters above the surface, and when the steam is coming up, it's almost impossible to really see is the surface is free from snow, ice and frost. Well, snow you can see, frost perhaps, but the clear ice, you can't see the clear ice, because the ice, you see the wing through the ice. So you must go up and put your hand on. So, as always, when it comes to responsibility, it's the flight department at Braathens, it's the management at Aviator who has the responsibility to create a safety culture, to create good attitudes, that flight safety is the most important, and they also have to make sure that the procedures are understandable, all personnel understand them, they're easy to follow, and everybody wants to work after them. And that's so important. And when it comes to the de-icing personnel and the pilots, of course, same thing. It's very important of the attitudes, of course. What is my personal attitude as a pilot? What is my attitude as a de-icer? Is the timetable the most important? And of course it isn't. And nobody, because I know that all pilots and all de-icers, they know that flight safety is the number one priority. However, the priority of the timetable and flight safety, I won't say they change place, but when you do something by routine, and it's very, very rare that it happens, incidents and accidents, yeah, then the routine maybe takes over, and the icer feel this pressure. Yeah, it's a long queue waiting. Oh shit, I have to speed up. And pilot, same thing. Oh, we have a tight schedule. We're going to Bromma, Stockholm Bromma, then just make a quick turnaround. We don't want to be behind the schedule. That's the way it is. So we can just summarize this accident that this was caused by human factors, and culture and attitudes had a huge impact on flight safety. That was all for today. Thanks for watching. See you soon.